The problem is that the 2016 case, many people don't realise, wasn't a binding decision, and what happened there was that the court rightly pointed out and highlighted that there was a gap in the law. They hadn't actually accounted for the fact that there is no basis why we were using the English law, but we were. And the only way that the court could decide the issue at the time without the evidence of the experts was to actually set what had always been the case. They actually had to instead say, well, actually, let's follow the Northern Irish guidelines, for example, but there's no basis for that either. So this has just set the situation back to how it was before. There's nothing different. We've always used these guidelines and we'll continue to do them only now with the statutory footing that the law allows.
And what type of injuries do these rates apply to?
Every injury. The guidelines in the UK are mirrored actually by the Northern Irish guidelines, so they cover everything from, as I said in my article, the example of the tetraplegic incident to something as small as a broken finger. It covers absolutely everything. But the guidelines is only one part of it. There's the guidelines as to whether we use the Northern Irish guidelines or the English, but there's also to do with the discount rate, which is to do with the way that lump sums are invested. And that's perhaps the most important issue. How much that rate fluctuates depends on how long a lump sum might last and actually give a person certainty as to their future care, for example.
What would you say to those that feel it would be the injured parties who suffer should the rates be capped?
Like I said, I don't think they're going to lose out because this is the way that we've always assessed personal injuries. This is nothing new. The only issue is that there was an argument to be made for a higher rate or higher guidelines. But this is just putting us back to the situation we've always had. There's no difference here, and the government aren't proposing that we stick with English guidelines forever. All it's proposed is that we have some certainty for now, and that's important because we've been having a situation where claimant lawyers and insurers have been having a battle as to at what end of the spectrum we should be settling, and as a result they have been either overcompensated or undercompensated. So it's important that there's a certainty that people know what they're actually entitled to, rather than having all this up in the air, not knowing really where they stand. People need to be reassured that it's not a case of the government intervening and just setting something for absolutely no reason. There's a logic to the madness always, and this is only a temporary measure, as the government have actually said. It's just a case of having some certainty for now. It's important that people know where they stand and that they're actually being compensated fully. It's not a case of being cut short by any means.